working in the computer engineering, software engineering, computer science field for coming up to 26 years now. Doesn't seem that long ago I was sitting in these rooms, not this room, I went to Northrop High School, but yeah. I think you feel like you graduate and then it's an instant ago you were still here, isn't it? Yeah, so. But I did go to Northrop High School, graduated in 95, went to Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. Anybody familiar with Rose-Hulman? One. Small little engineering school down in Terre Haute. You get to check it out, it's pretty cool. Then started working at Navistar. Anybody heard of International Harvester?
Yeah.
Navistar trucks? Yes. I wrote some software for those, body controller stuff, and then started working on service tools to service the engines, and diagnostic stuff like gauge clusters, and then worked at Vocera. Anybody heard of Stryker beds in hospitals? Anybody been to a hospital? Yeah, you've seen Stryker on the stuff? Worked there for a while doing an Android application that doctors and nurses use to call and text each other. And then at the end of February, my job got outsourced to India. So if anybody's looking for a software developer, I could do it. But I'm here to talk to you about being a software engineer and writing code and anything else. Who here might be interested in being a software engineer? Anybody? Nobody? Nobody wants to work on computers all day long? Nobody wants to write software?
I have one in my other class that really wants to.
Okay. Why
He's
don't you tell
excited
me?
about you coming. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So who wants to go to college? Yeah? What do you want to study? Shout some things out.
Just like, I'm gonna get my basic degree in
You're gonna be a flight attendant, okay. Fly around the world? Who else?
It kind of depends. I might want to go to law school or study to be a chef.
Those are two very different careers.
Nursing.
Nursing?
Get my registered nurse.
What aspect of nursing are you looking at?
Working like in the
Like
hospital.
on
Registered nurse.
the floor, like ER?
Yeah.
Okay. My daughter is an ER tech, or an ER nurse at Cal Hospital. So, and she tells me some stories there. Piece of advice for anybody who knows a nurse, never, ever, ever ask them about their job while you're at dinner. Because they will tell you everything about their job and all the gory details, and then you'll be done eating. So,
It
yeah.
doesn't phase me.
Yeah, it doesn't faze the nurses, but the rest of us, it's disgusting. When you talk about the things that are coming out of people while I'm
That's
trying to
why
eat
I'm
my
also in
spaghetti.
hospital.
Yeah.
Once
So,
it was
so, well, I'll talk a little bit about being a software engineer and about going to college specifically. You know, honestly, college isn't for everybody, and people who don't want to go to college don't feel bad about that. Because we need people who don't go to college. We need people who go to the manufacturing world. We need people to do other things in life. We need people to open the door to let the latest comer come in. But college can be tough, and college takes a lot of resilience to get through. I remember being in college and you worked your tail end off for 4 years, and it feels like you are just toiling away, and what is the good of this? And then you get through it and you realize how much easier life can be because you studied so hard. In fact, I remember getting out into the real world and thinking, this is easy. There's nothing to do. And so it wasn't so bad. But it was tough for those 4 years. Exactly which college you pick doesn't really impact your future. The fact that you have a degree opens up a lot of jobs to you. I'm looking in the job market right now, and every one of them must have a 4-year degree. And what does a 4-year degree get you? It does two things. It teaches you vocabulary to talk to your compatriots, talk to people in your field. So you know in nursing, there's all sorts of the terms you're learning that none of us understand. But if you talk to other doctors, they know exactly what you're talking about. The other thing it does is it demonstrates to employers a certain amount of grit that you can stick it out for 4 years. Because it's tough and not everybody can do that. But having that degree does open a lot of doors. There's a lot of doors open to me simply because I have a 4-year degree. But nobody really cares where I actually went to school. They just care that I went somewhere. My days as a computer engineer, you like to think on a really great day, you can sit down at the computer and you can code all day long. Does that sound like a dream to anybody in the room? Just me? No? Okay. On the bad days, you're stuck in meetings all day long, and you're having to talk to your coworkers, and you're having to be involved, and you can't just sit and code. Which, that's what you love doing, and you find out, and I'm sure you've experienced this, is as you start your career, you get to do what you love, and as you mature into it, you get further and further away from doing the things you love doing, because you have to attend all these meetings, and you have to handle all these documents and everything else, so yeah, when you start your career, that's the best part. You guys got any questions about anything? About life in general? Nobody wants to be good.
What's your favorite thing about, what you do?
Favorite thing about what I do is solving problems. I love to solve problems. There's either the problem of the computer doesn't do what you want it to do, or the app doesn't do what you want to do, it's a bug, and you have to figure out why it doesn't work. Or somebody comes to you and says, hey, can you make it do this thing? And I go, yeah, I probably could. One of my favorite stories, I was at Navistar, and we got this little tiny display that you might use for an instrument cluster. You know, at the bottom it's got like the mileage and everything, it's a little pixel display. And they wanted to see if I could make it do anything. And I, bang around my keyboard for a while, and I make it display like an odometer and fuel gauge and this, that, and the other thing. And go, oh, that's pretty cool. Could you make a picture of a truck? And I go, oh, well, let me see. So I bang around it for a while, and I make a picture of a truck on there. And they go, that's pretty neat. Can you make it move? All right, let me see what I can do. So I bang away for a while, and I make a truck, and I make it move. And they go, cool. Can you make the wheels go around? I said, get out. I'm done with you. I've put too much effort into this. But yeah, my favorite thing is just solving problems, whether it's making the customer happy, making their world a little bit better, or figuring out why the bug is there. Other questions?
What's your favorite project you have done?
Favorite project I've ever done was probably working on an engine controller software back at Navistar. I love working at Navistar. I love working on the trucks, the big trucks. Oh, the smell of diesel in the morning. Anybody else smell that smell? Love it? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. On a cool winter's morning, it's pretty nice. That time, they had an engine controller diagnostic tool that the supplier wanted several $1 million to re-up and refresh for them. And the company said, we don't want to pay that. And I said, hey, how about our team, we write this diagnostic tool for you? And they go, okay. And so from scratch, we wrote this diagnostic tool for the engine controller. And ideally in the software world, you sit on your computer and somebody brings you requirements. They say, here, code this. And you bang away your code, and then you hand them back the program. At Navistar, we didn't have that. We had to go find every single detail. So we had to call around to people. We had to ask, do you know anything about this? And go, no. How about you talk to this person? 3-4 email chains later, you finally get the one little piece of information you need to go forward. But we ended up developing a tool that would diagnose and program the engine controllers from scratch. And it turned out to be very successful. They were very, very happy with it, very, very pleased. And it was really a hallmark of my career at that time. Other questions?
Have you made any apps yourself?
Apps for phones? Not entirely. I've worked on apps for phones at Vocera. We had an app, I worked on 4 different apps at Vocera. They were all around calling and texting. And they're now under, I think, a Stryker badge. And those are on the App Store. I can tell you this, who here has an iPhone? Who here has an Android? I love my iPhone, Android has a better operating system. So, I was an Android coder, and so I know all about it, and I know the troubles that they go through on the iOS side, but the Android has a better operating system. I have developed applications from scratch. One of them, again, was for the trucking industry. You might have heard of CARB, the California Air Resources Board. Engine manufacturers have to prove that their engines meet emissions requirements. So they have a test plan they have to go through to prove that. I worked with a committee to write the application that allows them to run that test plan in an automated fashion and produce a report. And thus they can prove to the California Air Resources Board that their engines are emissions compliant. And that's actually an open source program that's out there for everybody in the world to download and use. So there are some out there. I'm sure none of you have heard of the J193980/84 program, but that is one of them we put together and is out there. So, is everybody familiar with open source software? Yeah. So some software is proprietary; only companies can use it. Another one is open source. They put the software out there, and anybody can use it, modify it, and change it. There's a lot of open source software I use in my job. A lot of very generous developers have put software out there, and we get to use it and make our lives better. Other questions? Questions about anything? I'll take any questions you got. You got to have something working on your mind.
When did you realize that's what you wanted to do?
Probably kind of late in my senior year. Initially, a lot through high school, I was thinking I wanted to be a teacher. I was actually part of Project STEP, that's still around, Students Exploring Teaching, or something like that. Project SET, Students Exploring Teaching. And so I did a lot of that, and I was looking for a while when I was a senior to see if I looked for the schools that had both a teaching program and an engineering program. And because I thought, I could get the basic credit, because you probably don't know in college, but your first year, you're taking a whole bunch of very basic classes, chemistries and maths and reading, things like that. And so it's about your sophomore, junior year, you really have to get into your major. So I thought, well, I'll just pick one or the other. And then started looking into it and realized I kind of liked playing with computers and I like robotics. And so I decided to go down the engineering road. Never looked back. I did do some JA teaching for a while. Kind of enjoyed that. And funny enough, my mom was a teacher for years, and my dad is an engineer. My mom wasn't a teacher when I was looking at this. She was going back to renew her degree at that time. But I thought it was funny that I took both their careers at some point in time. So, any other questions?
Have you ever worked on anything with airplanes?
Ever worked on anything with airplanes? No. It'd be kind of fun too. Closest I've been is big heavy trucks. So, other questions? You guys gotta have a lot of questions about anything. Life. Want to talk politics? No? No politics?
What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Lexus LC 500 convertible. Here's a little tidbit for you, if you can manage it. Started a really small company that gets bought up by bigger companies, and you get stock options and stock. Then that stock becomes worth a lot of money. Then you can sell that stock and buy expensive cars. That's how I did it. So,
On average, what do you make a year?
when I started out working in 1999, and here's a funny little story for you. I got my first job offer in November of 1998. I graduated in 1999, and I was offered 48,000 and some change. I forget what it was. And I had a classmate who also got a job there. She got her job like in April or something. And you know how they always say that women make less than men? Her offer was for $500 more than mine was. I couldn't believe that. And then through the years, that has steadily progressed, and my base salary when I left Stryker was $183,000 a year. And then there was bonuses on top of that, and then some stock equity and options like that. So it can be pretty lucrative. You have to be pretty good at it, and you have to find the right place. What I have discovered is places that pay software engineers well are places that produce software as their product. So companies like Uber, you know, their main product is their app. That's what they're really selling. Places where they're trying to really sell their app and push their app, they pay people better, because there's the other aspect of software engineering, which is writing software that runs companies. And so a place like Nucor, Steel Dynamics, something like that, they have software systems running. They need software engineers to kind of glue them together and make them work and fix problems here and there. But they don't appreciate software engineers like other companies do. So, and they tend not to pay as well, and they get the talent they pay for. Because I can tell you this, you always get what you pay for. If it costs less, it's probably a reason why. It's very important to keep that in mind as you go through life. Any other questions?
Have you ever worked on a game or want to work on one?
I've never been one to work on games. When I was in high school, I take that back. I did work on a game when I was in high school. Does anybody remember the TI calculators, the TI-80? I had a TI-85, I think it was. Do you guys still use those? You can write software, programs in those. We wrote programs in those, and we wrote, I think we had a brick game where you go back and forth, busting the bricks out. I think we may have implemented blackjack on those. There was a group of us, 4 or 5 of us, who write software, and we'd share the games around, modify them, and that was about the closest I did to actually writing games. I get out in the world, and I like writing software. I love working on it during the day. But then when I'm done working, I don't want to deal with software anymore. I get tired of it. And I don't know if, has anybody ever fixed any problem on their parents' computer? And then they keep asking you to fix more problems, don't they? Yeah. So I try not to let on that I know how to fix computers, because then, and all it is Googling. I tell you, my own job, I get paid a stupid amount of money to look stuff up and figure out how to do it. But the trick is to figure out what's right and what's wrong and how to adapt it to your current situation. So. She wants a hairbrush. Other questions you guys might have? Life in general, college?
Will deleting system 32 from my computer make it run faster?
Well, what, deleting system 32 from your computer? No, that'll probably destroy it.
Oh.
Although I can tell you this, go get an Apple computer. They're much better. You don't have viruses or system 32 on it.
What are the pros and cons, compare iPhones and Androids?
Compare iPhones and Androids. So, an Android, they're about this difference between an Apple computer and a Windows machine. The Android system is much more wide open. You can very easily download anybody's app from anywhere across the internet, which can include all sorts of viruses and spyware and everything else. Their operating system allows you to keep things running in the background, so there may be things running on your phone you don't even know about. And so you have to be kind of careful about the apps you download and where they came from and making sure they're vetted and everything else. If you're downloading things just from the app stores, those are usually pretty safe. They do a pretty good job of vetting those. Periodically, Google comes in and makes you prove that you're not doing bad things. They check your software to make sure you're not doing horrible things. You have to say, here's how I'm collecting users' data, or here I'm not, and so on and so forth. The Apple system, it's much, much more locked down. You can't keep things running in the background for very long. They kill the processes, they close things up, they housekeep things. It's a much more challenging environment to break programs in. but it's much safer, you're not gonna have as many viruses to worry about, you're not gonna have as many problems. I love my iPhone, but I prefer the Android operating system, because it's easier to write software in. With the Apple developer, you have to actually pay, developers have to pay $100 a year to put apps in the App Store, it might even be more now. With Android, you don't have to pay anything. And so there's more people who are going to write apps in that case. Some will crash, some of them don't. I can tell you this, you know how they always ask you, can we send crash reports to the developer? Can we share your data with the developer? Say yes, because then we get a crash report and we go, oh, that's why it crashed. Because we can actually see the line of code where it bombed out. And then we can fix it. If nobody shares that, we can't fix it. Other questions?
What's the software app that you prefer or like recommend?
Software, like to write software?
Yeah.
My favorite programs to use are IntelliJ, and they built Android Studio on top of that. It's one of the better development environments. If you're going to go write software, there's a community edition of that you can download, and it can get you writing an app pretty quickly and pretty easily. The other one is called Eclipse, which is all open source and freeware and has no restrictions on it. Use that a lot, and it worked pretty well. Now you get AI, so everybody says your job's gonna be automated because of AI. No, it won't, because AI can write a program pretty well. AI won't rewrite it really well. And the problem doesn't come in developing the first version of the app, the problem comes in developing the later versions of it, where they wanna add more functionality, or change things, or enhance it. And then that's where you need actual software developers to get in there and really figure out what's going on. And AI doesn't write human readable code very well, it writes code that it can read. So. Other questions? My daughter does that all the time. She has long hair, all the time she's playing with hair. What is it with girls doing that?
It's relaxing.
Is it relaxing? Is that why you do it? Yeah. And then you leave strands of hair everywhere, and your dad goes, "Why is your hair all over my car?"
I'll put my hair on my stepdad.
I'll purposely take my hair and go like straight up my hair.
Oh, that's my mom.
About 5 more minutes. You only have to start with me for 5 more minutes. So what other kind of careers you guys looking to go into?
Cosmetology.
Cosmetology, that's a great one. Hair, makeup, nails, all of it? Okay. You gotta own your own booth and work your own hours? Yeah, that can be kind of nice, except when you're not working, you're not making money. Yeah, that can be tough, especially if we have another pandemic. Yeah. How about anybody else? High performance engines, so you're gonna build them, rebuild them? Okay, you already do that now? Yeah? What you got? You have a 302 and a Ford Ranger? Dude, that's sick. I had an 86 S10. It had the little iron duke in it. I always dreamed to put the V8 in that thing.
Yeah, it's got a 302 and a 68 Mustang.
That is awesome.
I drove it all year last year, so I'm very proud about
That's tough. That's tough. But it gives you experience working on it. I've reached an age where I don't care to work on cars anymore, so I'll hire you to do those things. Alright, well, what's the